Brilliance Audio presents Smoke and Summons by Charlie N. Holmberg. Performed by Lauren Ezzo and Scott Merriman. Sandis had several reasons for staying. The food was good, better than what her meager income had once afforded, and far better than anything she might scrounge off the streets. Better even than what she had had back home when her parents were still alive. The roof never leaked. The constant drip, drip, drip in the slaver's bunker had nearly driven her mad. She never had to do her own laundry or her own mending. She got plenty of sleep, as factory shifts had long since been cut from her routine. Her bathwater was always warm. There were other reasons, of course. If she was caught, she'd be punished, and Kazan's punishments were memorable. If she wasn't caught, and that was a big if, she'd probably starve on the streets until her corpse was thrown into one of the city's numerous trash heaps. Any work she was qualified to do wouldn't pay enough for her to get housing and food. She and Anon had always barely scraped by, and that was with them both pulling overnight shifts. Sandis tried to focus on the first set of reasons as she poked at the broiled pig flank, cubed potatoes, and pickled apples on her plate. The food was better. Focus on the food. Ignoring her own advice, she glanced at the pale ceiling above her and imagined the earth, cobblestone, and abandoned buildings above it. Sandis wasn't exactly sure how far down she was, only that it would take a long time to dig herself out if she ever tried. Ever since she was brought here 4 years ago, the rest of the world had felt very far away. Sandis? The small voice came from Alice, who sat across from her. 15 years old, just a year older than Sandis had been when she met Kazan. Her brown eyes were Colin, but her blonde hair didn't match that of any of the other vessels, or the numerous grafters who lurked about Kazan's lair. Sandis wondered if she had a mixed heritage, but had not yet asked. She put her finger to her lips, urging Alice to be quiet. Kazan liked his slaves to be quiet. Alice replied with a nearly imperceptible nod and returned to her food. Good girl, Sandis thought. Alice was already blending in nicely. She hadn't even gotten solitary yet. Sandis would make sure she never did.
Dresburg was a cesspool of people and factories and work. Disease flourished in its densest parts, and yet the people kept trying to cram more things into them, taller buildings, narrower rooms, children to stuff into every nook and cranny. But at least the lack of space made Rone's job easier. His legs were long enough to hop alleyways, and sometimes the buildings leaned up against each other so tightly that jumping them was like a twilight stroll. That was the best way to start a burglary. Strolling. This wasn't burglary per se. The item had been paid for. The money just went to Rone and not to the item's owner. Regardless, tonight's quarry was an ancient Nazcan headpiece, so really, the true owner had died 1,000 or something years ago. It was 1,000, right? Rone had never been a great student. Then again, his absent father hadn't tried very hard to teach him foreign history. Rone paused on top of the library, he thought, to catch his breath and to gain his bearings. The wealthiest city denizens lived closest to the wall, as far from the smoke ring and the poor people who dwelled there as they could get. Again, why anyone with a steady and enormous income would choose to live in Dresburg was beyond him, save for the worthless politicians holed up in the inner court, making pointless laws and eating baby animals. Rich people always ate tiny meat,